A young Singaporean, 28-year-old investment banker bought a $1.25 million one-bedroom condo at Marina Bay, rents it out while she's posted overseas in the United States, and 4 years later, she sells it for exactly the same $1.25 million. Zero capital appreciation, and on paper, it seems as though she broke even. But after we factor in all the different hidden costs, she actually made a loss of $47,000. This is not just a story, it's a real-life example that was reported in the Sunday Times over the last weekend. Today, we're not here to laugh at her loss, but what I want to explore is what makes an investment like this profitable or not, and whether if you are a young Singaporean today, what you should look out for if you are looking to buy your first property investment here in Singapore. What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are talking about this article that came out in the Sunday Times where young Singaporeans are buying private property as their first big investment. And specifically, we are going to explore the example of Ms Teri Tan, who bought a one-bedroom condo at $1.25 million and sold it at the same price 4 years later. Buying a one-bedroom condo sounds like a great starting point for young investment buyers today. We are going to talk about why this approach works, what are the risks that nobody's talked about, and most importantly, if you have the capital and are young, what should you be doing with it today? Stick around till the end because I will share with you what I think is a smarter framework for young buyers today. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, remember to like this video and subscribe to this channel for more real insights on the Singapore property market. Now, let's talk about why one-beders are so attractive to young professionals. With the growing trend of more Singaporeans remaining single and singles needing to wait until 35 years old to buy a HDB, young Singaporeans who believe in property as an investment hedge will enter the property market as soon as they can. And that usually means entering into a low quantum unit, usually a one-bedder, that they can either rent out or choose to stay in the future. In this Sunday Times article, Ms Teri Tan actually bought a one-bedroom unit at the Sail at Marina Bay. And she said something really honest, and I quote, she called it an ego purchase. It was in the central business district with a view of Marina Bay. It was very cool, unquote. And you know what? I respect her honesty, because that's exactly the appeal. Prime location, prestigious address, a manageable entry price, the fantasy of rental income while you're working overseas, and lastly, the bragging rights that you are a young private property owner. But here's where the numbers will start to get uncomfortable. If you're enjoying what you're seeing so far, please remember to subscribe to my channel for more real insights on the Singapore property market. Thank you very much. Now, let us go through what actually happened with Ms Tan's investment unit at the Sail. She bought the Sail unit for around $1.25 million in 2021. Assuming a typical 25% down payment, she put down around $312,000 in cash and CPF, at the stamp duty of about $34,600, and legal fees, we are looking at roughly $350,000 of capital deployed in 2021. She rented it out at $4,800 a month while she was overseas. Sounds great, right? But once we subtract the maintenance fee, estimated $350 per month, property tax for non-owner occupied, estimated at $380 per month. Income tax on rental, estimated at $400 per month. And the agent commissions, we are looking at a negative number of $11,000 over the course of 4 years. And then, in January 2025, she sold it for $1.25 million, which is the same amount she paid. Now, let's look at what is the closing cash position when Ms Tan sells the property. At the end of 4 years, the outstanding loan will be about $849,000. After deducting the necessary CPF OA refunds, agent commissions, and legal fees, the cash proceeds came out to be around $96,000. And if we take into account the sunk costs in terms of cash used, buyer stamp duty paid, and other costs, her actual net return was actually negative $31,000. And adding the negative cash flow from the unit, her total loss was actually $42,000 over the course of 4 years. So the question is, what went wrong with this property investment move? In my opinion, I see a few things that you can hopefully use as a property checklist. Number one, the buyer profile of one-bedder units are often singles with limited financial resources or investors seeking high rental yield. These two groups of buyers are price sensitive and this will impact your selling price. Number two, entry price. At $1.25 million, buyers might possibly be able to get a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom condo in the RCR and OCR region in 2021. The value for money for the space purchase will make more sense for buyers if they buy a bigger unit. Number three, financial calculations. For investment property, one of the most important factors is to look at the overall cost of maintaining the investment property. The normal investor will just look into rental covering the mortgage, but more often than not, the other costs such as taxes, maintenance fee, agent fees eat into the overall profitability. So, this is something to bear in mind when you buy a property for investment. In my experience so far, the only rental method that will enable you to generate positive cash flow in your rental property is by the co-living method. If you haven't already watched my previous video, check it out here. Okay, so what's the better play here? Here's my framework for young Singaporeans who are thinking of buying a Singapore property for investment. If you want to build wealth in the Singapore property market in a predictable manner, you need a system that removes the emotions and focuses on the exit. Here's sharing my P.R.I.M.E framework, the 5 pillars that every first-time young property investors need to know before signing their life away. First up is P or price. Now, this isn't just about what you're paying today, it's about the logical line to the future exit. Ask yourself, does the entry price today I'm paying leave room for the next buyer to buy from me at a decent capital appreciation? If you're buying at a relatively high price today, you have to find someone with even deeper pockets to buy it from you 5 years later. Don't just look at what you can afford today, look at what your future buyer can afford later. R stands for rentability. This is your safety net. Real estate is a long game and markets do fluctuate. So in a bear market, does this property have the holding power to survive a downturn? Is a property in an extremely strong rental hotspot that will continue to have good paying tenants in bad times? I is for intention. You need to be honest with yourself here. Are you buying this as a pure play, truly for the investment numbers? Or is it a hybrid play where you might actually stay in it in the future? If it's pure investment, you don't care if the kitchen is small or the floor is ugly. You care about the rental yield and the location. If you might stay in it, your criteria changes to other criteria like neighborhood and amenities. Mixing these two things up without a clear plan is where most people will get stuck. M is for maximum space. In land-scarce Singapore, space is always the ultimate currency. With your current budget, what is the largest square footage you can buy into? A 3-bedroom often has a wider exit audience than a 1-bedder. By maximizing your square footage now, you are positioning yourself to capture a larger pool of future buyers for you to exit. And finally, E is for exit audience. You should never buy a property without knowing exactly who is going to buy it from you. Is it an HDB upgrader from across the road? Or is it a silver hair downsizer looking for a smaller condo? Or a young professional couple? If you can't identify your future buyer today, you're not investing. You are just gambling. So that's the P.R.I.M.E framework that I use for my own purchase as well as my client's purchase. It's about buying with the end in mind. If you have a specific project and want to see how it scores across these 5 pillars, drop me a DM in the number below and we can have a discussion. So here's the thing. Ms Tan's story isn't a failure story. She lost some money, learned the lessons, and is applying them to her next purchase. By learning from her experience, your first property doesn't have to be a bad one. Think about what the market wants. Think about the numbers, and separate what looks cool on paper to what actually compounds in reality. If this video helps you to think differently about property investing, please help to smash that like button. It will really help the channel. And drop a comment about what you think about Ms Teri Tan's purchase. I would love to hear from you. And if you want more breakdowns like this, Singapore property, personal finance, real numbers and no fluff, please remember to hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.